Hello, we are mostly through the North American trading session on Tuesday, March 14th, and markets are looking a little more relieved than they were 24 hours ago. Stocks looking more risk on, and the bond market pricing back in the odds that the Federal Reserve can indeed hike interest rates on March 22nd by about 25 basis points. There's about three things on our mind today as we go through all of the data and the news flow that continues to come through. The first is we did get US CPI inflation data for February. It's still coming in at 6% year over year as expected. The internal data tells us, however, that momentum is slowing, especially if you pull out shelter, which we know is lagging very heavily in real decline, and food, which is an ongoing important contributor to inflation. So this number not going to be hot enough to push the Fed towards 50 basis points, where many of us thought they would be a week ago, but certainly not cold enough for them to have the luxury of pausing at the next meeting either. Number two, one silver lining, if you could call it that, from the past few days of market action is that inflation expectations baked into the market are now declining again, and financial conditions by many measurements are tightening again. These are two conditions that the Federal Reserve wants to see and has had trouble orchestrating by themselves. So they'll be relieved to see these developments embedded in the markets. Now the tall task is to make sure they don't unwind what has occurred there. Third, while many of us are focused on that March 22nd Fed meeting, we at Manulife Investment Management also working on our long-term forecasts, thinking ahead to what 2024 and 2025 will look like. That's not in the headlines now, but we are having to think about what does the Fed's next cutting cycle look like? And when they do finish hiking, how long can they pause and when can they start actually easing interest rates again? For most investors, that story, the 12 to 18 month Fed outlook, may be much more important than what happens just 1 week from today, even if that will be a headline grabber. Hope that helps.